And we are live here at Community Bible Church. It's Sunday morning, 10:30, and we are so glad that you are with us. I did want to give a second to let some other people join, let you know about a couple of things that are happening just while we're on this and doing this online. A couple of things. Number one, make sure that you are communicating with us in the chat room. We have someone that is there and that is going to be monitoring your comments. I, of course, will see them after the fact and try to get back to as many of you as I possibly can. And we appreciate you joining us. Secondly, we are going to be in the book of Ecclesiastes this morning, Ecclesiastes chapter 4. And I'm going to be talking in just a moment about when things are falling apart. What do you do when things are falling apart? I know a lot of us feel like that right now, and that's what we're going to be looking at in just a moment. But before we do that, let me begin with a word of prayer. God, we pause to thank you for your blessings on us. We thank you for these folks who are joining us today. And God, I pray for them. I pray that you will encourage and strengthen them. I pray that we would know that we are connected across these airwaves, however we are hearing this and seeing this. We thank you that we can be on social media, on technology, and still be able to meet. So God, I pray that you will bless all of them, whatever they're going through right now. Well, thank you for it in Christ's name. Amen. As I was preparing for this, I remember back to something that happened when we were working with the kids one time. We decided to buy one of those gingerbread house kits, and so we built the gingerbread house. And man, we were excited. This thing was phenomenal. I mean, it was one of the best gingerbread houses I've ever seen. We actually had the roof put on and we had the jelly beans around it and it was perfectly decorated. And so we're sitting there admiring it and we're looking at it, and all of a sudden, you know what happened? It literally collapsed. It fell apart. We were like, what in the world? Pieces of it broke off, and it's like, what do you do now? The whole thing was just sort of sitting there in shambles. The cool thing about the gingerbread house is we could get another kit or we could rebuild it. I think life right now, for a lot of us, feels like that gingerbread house, but far worse. One minute, everything seemed to be going fine. Our lives were okay. Maybe our relationships were okay. Our businesses were okay. Everything seemed to be fine. Our health was good. And all of a sudden, we heard something called a pandemic. Something that we never thought that we would ever face. And now we are facing, as a nation, what is the unthinkable. Daily, people are losing their lives and catching this COVID-19 virus. And so it's the big purple elephant in the room that we have to talk about. There are people that seem to have two reactions to this thing. They're either ignoring it and saying, well, we're just going to get through this and it's sort of the flu and we're going to let it go and I don't care about social distancing. And then there's those people that say it's a conspiracy, it started somewhere else in another country and they're trying to cripple our economy. Well, I have to tell you, maybe both extremes are right, but I don't believe that. I believe the answer is somewhere in the middle, and that is, this is a fact of life, and we have to do our best to try to deal with it, but it hurts. It's destabilizing. We feel defeated at times. We feel like this is not right. Why is this happening? And we know the long-term effects of this. The short-term effects are people are losing their lives. People are getting sick. And right now, I know people that are self-quarantined because they were impacted or they were in contact with somebody else, and they're waiting to get their test back. So this is starting to impact many of us personally in a lot of different ways. And long-term, it's probably going to be worse. It's going to impact our economy. People are going to lose their jobs. The outlook is bleak. And we feel like everything is collapsing around us. What do we do? How do we make it through this thing? How do we keep going when we feel like it's all pulling apart in front of us? I know you may feel like that today. And if you are, and you do, I felt that way too. And I'm so glad that you're joining us on here. And I hope that in some small way, in the time that we have together, that I'm going to be able to at least help you feel encouraged, if but for a few minutes. So what do we do? Well, my attention was drawn to a passage of Scripture in Ecclesiastes chapter 4. And very quickly, in Ecclesiastes 4, it's quite interesting because it's written by a guy by the name of Solomon. Solomon is considered to be the wisest man that's ever lived. Solomon was wealthy beyond measure. He had the houses. He had anything that you could possibly want. And he was a king. So he was the top dog. Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes because he had struggled with what's important with life, because he had everything anybody could ever want. And at the end, he realized it was all worthless. And so his final conclusion is really we need to reverence God, keep his commandments, which love God, love people, which is what Jesus told us, which is what he was pointing to. And he said that's really the whole duty of man. That's what we do. We follow what the commands of God are. We respect him, and that's it. There's nothing more to it than that. It's the simplest thing possible, but it's also the hardest thing to do. And so Solomon is writing this, but in the midst of it, he's struggling with several different things. And he gets to a point where he talks about how important one another is. And that's the passage here in Ecclesiastes chapter 4. Notice what he says here in Ecclesiastes 4, beginning in verse 9. I'm reading from the New Living Translation. He says, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone, they're in real trouble. Likewise, 2 people lying close together can keep each other warm, but how could one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but 2 can stand back to back and conquer. 3 are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Wow, that's some really strong stuff. It's really good because it speaks to us in this time when we are feeling unstable, when we're feeling uncertain, when we're feeling unconnected to one another. I talked to a lady the other day who said, I miss my church family. I miss being able to see them and be together in the building. We're feeling this way, uncertain and unstable and unconnected. In this midst of this, we also feel like we keep coming apart further. So what's the answer? Well, the answer is found in this passage of Scripture. The answer is found in what we have to do is continue to come together even when we feel like things are falling apart. Notice what he says again. Let's go back and look at it. I love the way he starts this in verse 9. He says, 2 people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. Did you know that we need each other for success? Did you know that nobody can succeed in and of themselves? It's always amazing to me when people act as if they are captain of their own ship, master of their own fate, determine their own destiny. They go, I don't need anybody else. I don't need anyone for anything. Meanwhile, the entrepreneur needs people to buy from his business. The church needs people to be the church. Retail businesses need customers. It's how it works. This whole thing, this whole human race is designed to need one another. And he says, you're going to be able to succeed together. When you guys put your efforts together, you will have success. But you can't succeed alone. Whatever the endeavor, whether the endeavor is you're trying to build a church, whether you're trying to build a business, or whether you are trying to overcome something extraordinary, something that is unthinkable, you got to have mutual effort. Notice what he says next. He says, if one person falls, the other can reach out and help. But someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Somebody who falls alone, he says, is in real trouble. You know, I remember a situation that occurred a number of years ago. My grandmother was living alone. She was of that age where she was going to live alone no matter what. So my mother, who didn't live far from her at the time, called her in the morning, would call her every night when she was getting ready to go to bed to make sure everything was okay if she didn't see her during the day. So my mom called her this one night and everything was fine and Grandma went to bed. And the next morning my mom called her and she didn't answer the phone. And so my mom called back and she didn't answer the phone. And it was odd that Grandma did not answer the phone. It was just strange. So finally my mom decided she better get in the car and go down there. And she went down and she found my grandmother lying on the floor. She had been there. At some point, she got up in the middle of the night and fell. She was a little bit dehydrated, but thank God my mom was there, because had my mom not gone there, my grandmother would have never gotten up. And so the whole idea is that we need other people around us when we fall. Whether we fall emotionally, whether we fall physically, whether we fall financially, we can't be alone. We have to have a cheerleader and a quarterman, so to speak. In fact, he goes on and he says, likewise, two people who are lying close together can keep each other warm, but how can one be warm alone? And he has the idea of people who are huddled together in the cold so that they will be able to stay warm. They're literally using their body heat to stay warm. And he says, listen, two people can lie together to get warm, but a person can't be warm alone. I think it's interesting, especially now, I got to say something about this new terminology called social distancing. We need to follow it right now. It's unfortunate, but that they seem to think is going to help us to keep from spreading this. So, this physical picture of people huddling together is we can't do right now. But the idea there is of both of these is that not only do we need that mutual effort where we have to work together to succeed, but we need mutual encouragement. We have to be each other's encourager. We have to be each other's cornerman, each other's cheerleader. We have to be telling each other, you can make it through this. We are going to get through this together. It doesn't mean that we're ignoring the problem, because we know the problem's huge. In fact, the problem is so huge that we will not get out of it without working together, without encouraging one another, without mutual effort. And even when the pandemic itself is over and the lasting effects, however long they are, we are going to need that mutual effort. We're going to need to encourage each other that we're going to be able to make it through. And then notice what else he says. Verse 12, a person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. I love that. He says, listen, a person standing alone can be attacked. In other words, the picture is of somebody who can't see, doesn't have eyes in the back of their head. You know, like we often think our mothers did when we were kids. My mom could see stuff, and I would think, how did she see that? But the idea is you can't see what's coming up behind you. But if somebody has literally got your back, they're going to be standing to your back, and nobody can sneak up behind you and get you. And that's the picture that he has here. And then he says, better than that, better than two like that is three. And then he gives the picture of a board, of a braided cord, not a board, a braided cord that is braided three times. It's strong. I think about the ropes that we used to use when I was a teenager to pull trucks out that would get stuck. There was this braided rope that was so thick and so strong that you could tie it on the back of one truck, and you could pull another truck out of a whole heap of problems using that rope, because one single strand of it wouldn't work, but braided together it could do remarkable things. It was really, really strong. And that's what he says. He says here, listen, you got to be together. You got to come together with mutual effort. You got to come together for mutual encouragement. And you got to come together for mutual energy. You are better together. We are stronger together. One of us can't withstand what's coming alone. But we can stand together and say we got each other's back throughout all of this. And that's what he is saying. I want you to imagine, we're going to get through this. It doesn't seem like it when things are falling apart, but we're going to make it through this. And imagine us as a church, as a people, being the light for a community, a light when things still seem dark when this is over, that they're going to look and they're going to see us working together, mutual effort, using our talents and our strengths and our abilities to help other people, that encouraging folks and saying, yeah, it's bad, but you know what? You can do this. We can do this together. And then, in fact, we're going to put our energy into working together to help one another get through. That's what it means for us to come together when things seem like they're coming apart. We come together with our effort. We come together with encouragement. We come together with energy, and we get through. We are light in the midst of darkness for one another, for our church, for our city, and for our community. That's who you've always been as a church, and that's who we're going to continue to be, no matter what. So what can we do? What can we do going forward while you feel maybe quarantined and the orders are for us to stay home? Well, number one, we talked about effort. Let us know what you're able to do. Let us know about your talents. You know, we had put a bulletin board, and I'm looking at it across the other side of the church up that says, I need help, or here's how I can help. And so if you have something that you could do to help people right now, that would be great. I've heard of people making making a dinner and putting it out on their stoop and then people coming and picking it up so they don't have the contact thing. There are people that are, there have been paper drives for people that were able to get extra toilet paper and things like that. They're sharing that. There's so many things that you could do, but let us know how you could help. And we're going to create some type of a virtual bulletin board. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to figure out how to at least create that. Also, as far as what you could do, I wanted to give a little shout out. This is very practical, and wanted to say thank you to so many of you. As you know, and the people who are regular attenders in person at Community Bible Church will tell you, I never pass the plate. As a matter of fact, I never even mention the plate most times. A couple times a year we take up an offering, and it may be for some special event, but I've actually had people, some of you out there, and sometimes it's made me emotional because you've texted me or you've emailed me and said, Bob, we still want to give to the church. How do we do it? And I'm like, because during this time, everybody's hurting. People aren't sure what's happening. And some of you still want to support the work that we're doing here. And we really appreciate it. And I've told those folks, yes, you can mail it in. But to make it easier for some of you who are concerned about that, I'm not asking for anybody that doesn't normally do it or anybody who can't do it. So please don't get that wrong. I'm not being a televangelist. But if you can give, if you're capable of giving, we're going to set up a mechanism, should be in place next week, where we can do text to give or giving online to make it a little bit easier for those of you who have asked that. So you don't have to go out to the post office. You don't have to put anything together. We'll make it as easy as possible for you. But for those of you that have asked about it, I want to say thank you so much for asking us about that. So let us know how you can help. Use your talents, use your treasures, use your time. Whatever you can do to help during this time, let us know, and we'll make sure that we pass this and communicate it with other people. Number 2, so you can tell us how you can help and what you think you can do, and let us know, by the way, if you need help. Second, you could be an encouragement. One of the things that I think is real important right now is people are being encouraged by the videos that we're doing and all of that. But I feel like we've got some people that are falling through the cracks. And they're the people that aren't here, that don't watch online, that are not a part of this. I need 6 to maybe 10 people that can volunteer for us right now, who could be what I'm going to call a care caller, where you could call some of these people that are vulnerable, that don't have this contact. You could check up on them and make sure they're okay. And then you can shoot me an email. If you want to, I'll tell you what, if you're interested in doing this, shoot me an email. Separate from here, info@cbcfl.org, info@cbcfl.org, and then I'll get back with you. I'll set up a Zoom call or a telephone call, and we'll talk about what you could do, because we want to reach out to these folks. And it may be something practical that you could do now when you're sitting at home, if you're not having to work from the house and not having to make that adjustment, and you could help. We would certainly appreciate it, because I don't want we want to keep as many people as we can from falling through the cracks. So let us know how you can help, or if you need help. You could be an encouragement to that encouragement. And also, as far as your energy, we need to continue to band together online. Band together on whenever we can do Zoom calls. The more, the merrier. We can take this energy that we have and pass it out to others, because I know people that are texting this link to folks who last week, who normally would not even be a part of our church. Because I got to tell you something. I'm already thinking about when we can get back together, we are going to have a celebration. And I want to get some of these folks who have just attended online, that are in our community, that you've maybe seen their name, I want them to come out too. And we want to have a celebration where we can maybe have something out on the greens outside and in the parking lot, and just, eat together and have a great time. Just get together. So we're planning on that. But right now, we got to keep this energy going, and we're going to do it online. I feel like over the past, in responding to this, that I've done a couple of lives, and then I've done a Zoom call, and I've done this and I've done that. This next week, I'm going to give you a schedule on exactly what we're going to be doing. So I'll probably release that on Monday, where we will do something each day, something different, where people can at least feel like they're connected. And if you need to connect with me, let me encourage you that you can, again, send an email. I'll be glad to do a Zoom call, and I'll tell you, don't worry if you don't have Zoom. I'll tell you exactly how to do it. If you have an iPhone, we can do FaceTime, but be glad to do whatever I can do to reach out to you. So these are some very practical call to action steps. But whatever we do, remember this. God's got us. Let me say that again. God has got us. And you know what? We've got this. God's got us, but we've got this because we are going to do this together. We are together. Nothing, while everything else seems like it's falling apart, we're going to come together. We're going to use our mutual effort. We're going to mutually encourage one another. We're going to create mutual energy because we're stronger together. And we will get through this. So let's continue to come together. Remember this week, I love you so much. I miss seeing you in person, but we're going to continue to connect here. And remember, when things are falling apart, we can come together and we can have our mutual effort, mutually encourage, create mutual energy. Remembering that God's got this. God's got us, but we've got this. God bless you. We'll see you again here next Sunday at 10:30. But make sure you join us during the week on all our various social media channels. God bless you. Thanks for sharing with us today. We'll see you soon.